I'm Diane Lang, and I'm here today to share a book I've written with you. It's called Fur, Feather, Fin, All of Us Are Kin. Um, and by that I mean kin is kind of an old-fashioned word, and it means relatives. It means who we're related to. Your cousins are your kin, and your brother and sister are your kin. So we're not cousins with octopus and eels and what are the other animals on here? Various birds, seahorse. Um, no, but we share the world with them, and we have a lot in common with them. We all want to stay safe. We all want to take care of our young. We want to get food. We want to have clean water. And so we have so much in common, and we need each other. So I would say that we are kin. So I'm going to read this book to you today. I wish I could be with you in person, but I am doing this at the time that we're all staying home and staying safe. So not for today. So here's how it starts. All animals on earth are kin, while not the same outside or in. Some we stroke with loving hand, some we don't yet understand. But we're all linked in families with variations such as these. First of all, I'll start with the group that we are part of, and you probably know what that is. Milk to drink and furry hide, mammals keep warm from inside. Their babies are not hatched, they're born, no matter how their fur is worn. All need a parent when they're new. We sure do, don't we, when we're first born? Like humans, yes, we're mammals too. And then we have the birds we love so much. Feathers keep birds warm and dry, giving them the shape to fly. Some will soar, some probe the sand. Flightless ones live life on land. Some seek nectar in each bloom. Those who hunt will watch. Then zoom. The snowy owl here is zooming down on the lemming. That's what they have for their meals up in the snowy high Arctic area. Amphibians. You've probably heard of amphibians. At least you've heard of frogs and toads. Changing body, smooth, moist skin. That is an amphibian. Metamorphosis, the road for changing tadpole into toad. Or salamander, frog, or newt, and at the end, a whole new suit. So amphibians are the wet ones. The dry ones are the reptiles. Reptiles' dry and scaly skin keeps the warmth from outside in. Snakes and lizards seek the sun, as basking turtles long have done. Some have a smooth and graceful glide. Some run or climb or dig to hide. That lizard is hiding from the roadrunner. And roadrunners are kind of famous for eating reptiles, including rattlesnakes. A roadrunner can whack a rattlesnake faster than a rattlesnake can bite a roadrunner. Pretty interesting. Now I'm going to talk about the big group with a big name for all of them, arthropods. Arthropods mean insects and spiders and scorpions and even lobsters. So here's about arthropods. Arthropods have hard outsides, jointed legs, and varied lives. Some will live beneath the seas, while others lightly ride the breeze. From insects chewing on a stem to spiders who are eating them. Now we need insects. We definitely need insects. They pollinate our food crops. They also eat dead plants and animals so that the nutrients can return to the soil. Insects are very important, but we don't want too many, and we would be knee deep in insects if it weren't for spiders, because that's what spiders eat. So spiders are our little 8-legged heroes. Now, let's get in the water a little bit. Fish have bones plus gills to get oxygen from where it's wet. Some have shapes somewhat alike, like salmon, trout, catfish, or pike, but some are shaped a different way. This could be surprising to you. It was surprising to me when I learned. Such as seahorse, eel, or ray. They have gills and they have bones and they're fish. Now there are other animals living in the water, not just fish. And so I kind of put them all together. So there's so many different kinds that I just call the water dwellers. More water dwellers live offshore in tidal pools on ocean floor. Some cling to rocks while some float free, our sandy, salty family, with tentacles or fins or spines. So many different shapes under the water. Life underwater intertwines. Now in this picture, the giant squid is intertwining with the whale, probably trying to get away from it. But what I also meant by intertwining was how all of the ecosystem under the water, just like up here on land, needs each other and intertwines. Now, here's maybe not a bigger word, but a more unusual word. I'm going to talk about detritivores. It's a whole different kind, many different kinds of animals who turn dead stuff in the forest and elsewhere into new healthy soil. That means worms and snails and beetles and many kinds of bugs. And so I call them all detritivores. Detritivores, so oft forgotten, dine on things both dead and rotten. Worms and bugs make their dessert of rot into the richest dirt, underground or deep in bark. We often do not see them. They're heroes of the damp and dark. We need our detritivores. We need all of this. From lofty height to humble base, every creature has a place, as well as needs like food, fresh air, a place of safety, nest or lair. And while we're different here on earth, in eating, moving, giving birth, common things make us complete. Minds that work and hearts that beat. That's what makes us all kin. And that's why we as people can learn more about all the other kinds of animals and understand how important they are to the world, appreciate them, love the ones you want, acknowledge the others, but just know that they're all important. Fur, feather, fin, all of us are kin. Now I have a couple critters here with me today to meet. I'm going to reach down and get one of them that was right under my feet a minute ago. Okay. I'll go and get him in a minute. And I'll start with this guy. A very misunderstood, unappreciated animal. This is, okay, my camera went dark. I hope yours didn't. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that. This is a tarantula. This is my pet tarantula. I've had pet tarantulas for a long time, mostly so I could talk about an unloved animal. There's so many unloved, unappreciated animals. My first book had a turkey vulture in the title, and they're definitely important but unloved, but it's kind of hard to keep one as a pet. Besides, I think it's illegal. So I have a tarantula. Now, tarantulas, like other spiders, eat insects, so they're very important. But they are very laid-back animals. They're very calm and not inclined to bite. I've been handling tarantulas for 20 years, and I've never been bitten by a tarantula because I've always handled it very gently. In general, animals who are not afraid are not going to bite you. Tarantulas have a very good sense of smell, and he can smell through his feet that he's on my hand, the same familiar hand. He said, I've been here before. I don't have to worry when I'm smelling this. So he's just fine. If he were to get confused, if I somehow were to handle him roughly or too fast, and he got afraid and bit me, I would say ow, because the fangs are sharp. But I wouldn't have to go to the doctor. Their venom is not particularly harmful to people. It's not like black widow venom. But that's never happened to me. And I do love to talk about tarantulas because they're visible spiders and they're so important. So I'm going to bring him up where you can see his, how does this work? Now that's the back end. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's a little bump, a little dark bump kind of in the front. And those are all 8 of his eyes. So they have very tiny eyes. My guess is that since they live in burrows under the ground, they only have to sense if a shadow comes overhead, if it's a predator or something like that. I don't think they can see detail very well at all. And I'll show you the back end of him. If I can get this right. Hello, there. It's kind of bald. Well, when he sheds his exoskeleton, because he's an arthropod. Arthropods all have exoskeletons. They don't have bones inside. They have their hardest parts on the outside. And when he sheds and climbs out of his old one and has a new one, he'll have new hairs back there. Why does he need those hairs? Well, out in the wild, that is his defense. If a predator comes along, like a coyote or a fox, he will sense it and use his back legs to flick those hairs off, and they float into the air. They don't shoot their hairs. They can't do that. But they can flick them off, and those hairs have a little chemical and a little barb in them you can't even see that get into your skin and really burn. So if it got into the eyes or nose of a predator, that predator would be out of there really fast. So it's a pretty good defense. So this is a male tarantula. He, unfortunately, is only to live a couple more years probably because male tarantulas only live 7 or 8 years. Females might live 20 or 25, maybe even more. I know, guys, that's not fair, but that's just the way it is. So I wanted to share this guy just to help people see that, you know, he moves slowly. They're just calm, nice animals. Now, even if you picked one up in the wild, you probably wouldn't get bitten, but I'm not encouraging you to do that because it's not respectful to the wild animal. When we see wild animals, if we're outside or hiking or walking, well, lucky us. But we need to just look at them. Listen if they're making noises. Go home and learn about them if you want and love, but always leave them alone. And we don't feed wild animals ever, except maybe if you want to put up a bird feeder that you keep nice and clean, because they get the food that they should have. The food we give them probably isn't helpful to them, isn't healthy, and they might lose some skills in getting their own food. Now I need to look around and see where my other little guy went to. I'll be right back. Okay, so tortoises are slow, and I saw him down there a minute ago, but they're determined, and they keep on going. When they're going someplace, they keep on going. So I have picked desert tortoises that I didn't take out of the desert. They were hatched in captivity, and I'm not quite sure why. I got them when they were young, but once they're in captivity, they can't be taken back to the desert because they might pick up their version of coronavirus and spread it to other, they might get it in captivity, spread it to other tortoises, and we wouldn't know. So, so the tortoises I have are going to be in captivity for a long time. So I have his brother instead of the one that I thought I was setting up to visit with you here. So here is, here's his brother, nice desert tortoise. They are a type of turtle, but certainly not the same type as pond turtles or sea turtles. Pond turtles and sea turtles have narrow flippers for swimming. Well, look at these guys. Those are not good shaped for swimming, but they are well shaped for digging. And out in the desert, they don't really love it super hot, even with the shell. If it's too hot, they dig down into the sand and the dirt until it's a temperature that's just right for them. And then in the wintertime, when it's going to be really cold, again, they dig down to where it's warmer. Now, these tortoises at my house just woke up from their hibernation. They have had a 5-month nap. In reptiles, we actually call it brumation, but it's like hibernation. So for 5 months, their bodies cool down. They're kept in a cool place. And because they're Cold-blooded animals, that means that their temperature is the same as the temperature around them. They can afford to slow down their breathing, slow down their heart rate, and they're not using calories. So they don't eat that whole time. So now they are awake and they'd like to be eating. But where I am right now, it's been overcast and cold and rainy. So I've been trying to keep the house warm enough for them that they might want to eat. They're not going to eat until their bodies warm up so that they can digest. They somehow know that it's not safe to eat if they're too cool. But they do need the UV rays of real sunlight. So they had a few days of that before it started raining again. And tomorrow we're supposed to get sunshine again. So this little guy will be out there. So tortoises eat nothing but vegetation. They don't eat little critters in ponds like pond turtles do. They certainly don't eat jellyfish like sea turtles do. They just eat plants. Out in the desert, they love blossoms and different kinds of desert plants, and they have favorites here. They love dandelion flowers, and they love clover flowers. So I am going to put the computer down now. I'm going to put a couple little blossoms in front of my tortoise here. Someone else had him first that named him Davis. So this is Davis, and I guess I'll put it down like that. Put a couple blossoms. There's a dandelion, and there's clover, and there's a rose petal. They have a good sense of smell, so he probably, and also they see color. So he can choose if he would like one of those things. We'll see if he goes for it. He has been spending the morning asleep, so he may not be wakeful enough to think about eating. So let's look at his nice shell on top. The top shell is called the carapace. The bottom shell is called the plastron, and then they're connected on the side. His backbone is actually fused to his shell. It's part of the shell. When I was little, long time ago, cartoons showed, no flowers here? Showed turtles or tortoises climbing out of their shells so they could run faster. Well, of course, that's fictional. They can't do that. They're kind of slow, but they keep on going. As I said, I lost my first tortoise in the room somewhere. I'll find him later. And they are endangered, the desert tortoises are. So we hope that people will remember that as part of the desert. If you're ever lucky enough to see one in the desert, maybe you see it in the road, take it off the road. Well, actually, maybe just urge it off the road, because even if you pick it up, it's dangerous for the tortoise. And here's why. Because they don't get much actual free water to drink in the desert. They hold on to all the moisture of the plants they eat, and it takes a long time to get all the moisture stored up that they need. And if they are picked up by someone, it's an unusual thing. Mine are picked up all the time, but they're used to it. If they're picked up in the wild, they will be afraid. They'll think they want to be as light as possible to get away, and they will get rid of all the moisture that they have. They will pee it all out. So it's not even good to pick them up, but if you can urge them off the road, should you be lucky enough to see one. Okay, maybe he's going to go check out the camera now. It doesn't look like he's going to eat it all. Okay, I'm going to put him down now. He said, "What was that? That was a strange thing." So I love all sorts of animals. I used to be so afraid of reptiles. I was afraid of lizards. I was afraid of snakes. And now I just love them all. And at the nature centers where I've worked, where it's appropriate to pick them up and show them to people, I love to pick them up and do programs with them and get to know them. And they get to know all the handlers too, because they have a sense of smell, and they can pick up lots of clues from us. They might know our different heartbeats. So they say, "Oh yes, I'm in a safe place again." So the animals that are my pets or that are in captivity, we handle them to share. But I wouldn't go out in nature and pick up a wild animal. It wouldn't be safe for me, and I said it wouldn't be respectful to the animal, because the animal wouldn't feel safe. But all of us, as people, as mammals, as human beings, as residents of the earth, can appreciate all the animals that live there and know that whether we have fur or hair or feather or fin, all of us are kin. Thank you very much.